Have you heard the idea that we're moving from an old paradigm into a new, more highly resonating one? And in this new paradigm, the path to spiritual awakening is very different from the way it was formerly understood. In this episode, we're talking about how people thought about spiritual awakening in the old paradigm and how limited that was. We contrast that with the new version of spiritual awakening and how radically different the experience can be. And after the discussion, we get to the most important part of this episode. The group frequency calibration at the end is where the frequency work happens and where change actually occurs. So be sure to listen to that. Without releasing distortion patterns targeted by the GFC, the change you want will be more difficult to attain because you haven't addressed the root of the issue. My name is Karen Cheong, and today in Mastering Your World Through Frequencies, we're discussing Awakened Awakening.
I would like to get your take on what the difference is between the old paradigm and the new paradigm of awakening.
Yeah, and that's why we've called this Awakened Awakening, because we really are shifting in terms of what our experience of awakening can be. And I think a lot of people, even to back up a little bit more, don't even know really what that is.
No, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're like, awakening from what?
Yeah.
They just know that wherever they are sucks and they're trying to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right? That's typically what it is
Yeah,
when they started.
I have my eyes open and I'm living my life, so isn't that being awakened?
Awake? Yeah, isn't that awake? Or I've had people say to me, I realize that I'm more than just a human. So therefore I'm awake.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. And yet at the same time, they have all this mess, this chaos in their life, and they're really struggling, and they tend to exhibit patterns of low self-worth and drama and all this sort of stuff. So do you see what I'm saying? So they're saying that they're awake, but yet their experience is not that of an awakened being.
Yeah, they're still creating the same
Same
reality.
drama. Yeah, same drama, same chaos, same messiness, same low-level resonance of existence.
Right,
okay?
right.
All right. So what is awakening? Now, there are many, many different definitions of awakening.
Yeah.
So I suppose it depends on who you ask. However, for the purposes of our discussion, to me, awakening is a spectrum. Okay? It's not like a single moment in time where like, ding, all of a sudden, now you're awake.
That's going to hurt a few people.
Yeah,
I mean, I know I would have been that person. What do you mean? You can't just flick a switch and blah, everything's perfect?
Well, some people do have that experience, actually, where they have very few beings, where they have a moment where it's usually in almost like a near-death experience, or this moment where it's like very, almost like, it's like right on the cusp of like a physical crisis almost. And then they have an awakened moment, okay? But that's like 0.00001% of the population.
Yeah.
Most people have to do the work to release the heaviness of the distortion that gives them the sense that the illusion is real, that what they are creating is reality. And there's only more of that to come. And as they release that illusion and become aware that they are creating that reality, and that the reality or the illusion is there to serve them, it's a gift rather than something that causes them to suffer. This is the beginning of awakenedness.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, because I would be someone that came from that old paradigm and had to relearn this new style of awakening. I hated being in the body because the physical reality that I was experiencing was horrible.
Yes.
So my idea of awakening, because I felt good when I was out of my body, was to leave the body and leave the physical, and that was awakening.
Yes.
But nothing was ever changing.
Exactly.
So you were saying, I think the same thing, that if you want to move into this new consciousness awakening, new paradigm of awakening, you have to learn to be in the illusion, use it as the tool, the gift, and awaken within that, and learn how to change or...
Yeah, to learn how powerful you truly are. And the funny thing is, a lot of people start their spiritual journey, as you say, to escape the illusion.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's so much suffering. I mean, why would you want to... It sucks, I mean, it doesn't feel good. There's a terrible amount of abuse and sacrifice and a whole bunch of terrible things that happen to people. Humans can be pretty terrible to each other. And so why would you want to be present in the body feeling all that?
Yeah.
It's pretty crappy.
Yeah.
So the thing is, with this new paradigm of awakening, or it's a more empowered sense, because it's not about like you trying to flee the illusion, flee the body, push it away by escaping, like jettisoning it out. You know, you hear a lot about in the spiritual communities, you know, like I'm going home, right? Because this sucks, so I'm going home, right? I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing is, you're not going to return to the place that you think you want to unless you resolve what's happening here first.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because you're just creating more of that same suffering. Like trying to escape it isn't resolution. It's still a distortion because you're trying to escape it. You're not able to be with it. You haven't cleared the distortion that causes the friction, the suffering, the resistance. And until you do that, and you're able to be in the reality, comfortable, seated in the center of your body, then you start to experience the divinity you are, the brilliance you are, and you realize, oh my God, this life is amazing. Even though it can be sometimes painful and challenging and not what I necessarily thought I wanted, somehow you start to realize, wait a minute, this is all happening for me.
And as you're talking, I'm hearing all the other words that you've used along the way, like frequency authority. If you can be in the illusion, in frequency authority, so self-empowered, in neutrality, non-attachment, like the 6 core essentials that you're talking about, and you're using them, then your experience of this illusion can be quite different. Therefore, the awakening process might not seem as painful.
Yes, and it's actually, what it is kind of like, it becomes fun. So it's kind of like the fun that you get from working out. Okay, so let's just back up a little bit.
Yeah.
So you've never worked out before, never run or never ridden a bike, or you know what I mean? It's not part of your thing.
Yeah.
When you first start, for the first couple of weeks, it really sucks, right? Because everything hurts. You're just like, oh God, you know, just like everything is screaming at you in your body because you're not used to that level of physical exertion.
Yeah.
And your body's not used to it. And then after a couple of weeks, if you kind of hang with it, you're wait a minute, I'm getting stronger here. You know, I can run faster. I don't feel like I'm going to vomit now when I'm running.
Yeah.
I can move. I can sit on the toilet and get up easily. You know, like all these sort of things, right? Where you're like, now I'm getting really strong and I can lift things that I couldn't, or I can maybe get out of a car before I had struggled to get out of a car because I didn't have enough core muscle. Whatever it is, right? So you are strengthening. It's the same on the spirit level. Right? So as you use these 6 core essentials that you mentioned, that we outline in the Mastery Momentum, Refining the 6 Core Essentials, if you start that right at the beginning of your journey, it's like weightlifting. Right? You're like, oh, at first you're like, like this is kind of weird. I'm not sure how this works. What's the integration process like? You have to kind of like, you know, kind of get used to it. But then it starts to happen faster and faster. You're like, wow, I'm getting really, really strong. So how much more can I clarify? How much more can I use these tools to help me to clarify? And that's when you're standing, as you say, in this empowered state. And as you become more and more empowered, releasing more of your distortion patterns, your frequency resonance rises. As a result, your physical reality starts to mirror that, and things start to shift really quickly.
So that when I'm listening to you, like the awakening process is really just understanding just how much authority you have over your own kind of destiny.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. And the clearer, brighter, faster your frequency resonance, the more authority you have. Right?
Okay, so what would you recommend? Say I'm a complete beginner and I want to awaken. I've come from the old paradigm and, you know, it's not working. I've escaped my body. I can astral fly here, there, and everywhere. I can have near-death experiences, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
And it's still the same.
Yes, it's still the same.
So I'm going to try your way for the first time. What would you recommend?
I'd recommend watching Centering into the Zero Point, which is episode 151. Why am I recommending this?
Yeah.
Because for people who like to leave their bodies, you don't really understand the power of being in the center of your body, okay? And why that's so critical in terms of being able to feel more ease, magic, flow, synchronicity. I know it sounds weird, especially if you have a lot of suffering, but you chose to come into this embodiment. It's actually a gift. Now, I know people say that and people are like, oh my God, if you saw my life, you would not say it's a gift. It actually sucks. And I understand that. So the thing is, even though your reality sucks around you, it's mirroring what you are on spirit level. So if you raise your frequency resonance, what you can do is start to shift what kind of reality can create around you, what you get to experience. And you and I have talked about co-creation. We've talked about how does that work? And what does it mean to do that? And all that sort of stuff. And do we create our reality? So if you're curious about that, then I would definitely go check that out. But we mentioned in that your frequency resonance is like looking through a keyhole.
Yeah.
And as your frequency resonance rises, you only see this much out of the keyhole. But as your frequency resonance rises, what you see starts to shift upward and it starts to expand. So therefore, what you can experience starts to expand. Because as we mentioned in that episode, there's the field of infinite possibilities. Okay, so that exists in the field of the oneness or pure source or the divine or whatever you want to call it. Everything already exists. What allows you to access those higher, better, more pleasurable, more fun, more highly resonant realities is your frequency resonance and this keyhole through which you're looking.
Okay.
So that's really important.
Oh, that's an interesting conversation. I guess it really comes back to just getting on with doing the work and looking at my outward reality and deciding how empowered I want to be.
Yeah.
How willing I am to do the work.
Yes.
And just getting to it, right?
Yeah. And I would say that in the new paradigm of awakening, we really are shifting from the state of the old paradigm awakening, where it's like, I'm broken, I'm wounded, I'm not enough, whatever. And someone above you has to make you better.
Yeah.
And you kind of like grovel at their feet to be awakened. It's time now to shift away from that.
Yeah, and wait on their permission.
Yeah, wait on their permission.
To say that you can awaken now.
Yes. So my purpose here is to give people the tools for them to do it themselves. So am I guiding? Yes. Am I providing the frequency work to help accelerate you? Yes. But this is really fundamentally about empowering you. This is your journey, your liberation, your reclaiming of the brilliance that you are. Okay? So that's my purpose, is to help in that way.
Yeah, for me, I'm in deep gratitude when I meet a person that is going to help me to be self-empowered in that way and treats me like an equal, to tell me I'm already connected.
Yes.
You know, and that these are the tools that are going to help me to remember.
Yeah, or just become more aware of it.
Yeah, I'm more aware of it. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And so when we, you and I talked about, what was it? The name of the episode was Cracking the Code of Co-Creation.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about, And the thing is, as we move into this new paradigm of awakening, there will be more and more of us who are here to help in a new way. In the sense that not only are we helping, this is what I call synergetic ascension. So as the frequency resonance of one rises enough that they can help others' frequency resonance rises, that causes those whose frequency resonance is now more buoyant to push everything up. So now the person who helped initially, their resonance gets to rise, which then, if they continue to help, then starts to buoy the collective again. And now it's just a spiraling thing of like upward ascension. So we're moving together.
Yeah.
We're not moving as if like, I am better than you, and now therefore I'm going to tell you when you're worthy of being awake. That's not the way it is anymore. And anybody who tells you that you absolutely 100% are dependent on them to awaken, know that this is a form of control.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And run the other way.
Run the other way.
Yeah.
Because there's always more than one path to awakening, first of all.
Yep.
Not everything resonates with everyone, and truly look for the people who are trying to empower you rather than keep you in the place that you are. So maybe you accelerate a little bit at the beginning and then you stay stagnant. Okay, well, if they're not helping you by giving you tools or whatever it is, however they express how they help, whatever that is for you,
Yeah.
then you really need to ask yourself, do I need to still be in this relationship with this person?
Yeah.
Do I need to actually move into the field of somebody else who can help me in a different way? Okay, and so I've always been a fan of a multidisciplinary approach.
Yeah.
The people who come along your path to help you are changing constantly. It's not about fixing on like one particular person who's going to help you. People get helped by different people along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it's important to be aware of that, and to it's funny. A lot of people will say they're teachers, and not just the teachers, the guru, the healer, the whatnot. It can be your spouse. It can be your kid. It can be, life, really, in whatever form it takes. And that's one of your teachers, your greatest teacher. And that is to take the opportunity to learn from life, your relationships, whatever is happening for you, to raise your frequency resonance, okay, to rise up in your own consciousness. To me, that's the new paradigm of awakening. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, that you have to go share it with everybody in the sense that you have to now become a teacher and get on a stage and help people. Truly, as we awaken or arise in our frequency resonance, your presence alone can have a ripple effect, okay? Just in terms of who you interact with that day.
Yeah.
You never know who you helped simply by having a conversation. And it was interesting because you were just sharing the story of how your husband was a little bit struggling one day.
Yeah.
And he was having, we all have these days where we're like, I just feel a little bummed. Like, life kind of like sucks.
Yeah.
But then he happened to have a conversation with a couple, and just through their conversation, he entrained to their frequency resonance. His resonance rose. They didn't come over to him and be like, "Let us heal you."
Yeah. I think he would have run away.
All they did was have a conversation with
Yeah.
him, right? And his frequency buoyed up. Things shifted, and he felt better.
Yeah.
And now his day has shifted because who he interacts with is going to shift too.
Exactly.
So, it's funny. We all think sometimes that we have to, in order to be awake, like all of a sudden spread it to all these different people. You don't have to.
And have magic gifts.
Yeah, exactly.
We seem to think that only the people with the magic gifts are awakened.
Yes.
It's like, well, just being able to be the conductor of your life or the illusion that you're creating is an amazing magic ability in the first place.
Yeah.
You don't need to have public approval for that.
Exactly.
Right?
It doesn't matter what other people think of you.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I just want to also clarify, thank you for raising this point. Just because somebody has abilities doesn't mean they're awake.
Yeah.
I just want to make that really clear. Because there are a lot of people who have a lot of amazing abilities and they're very, very not awake.
Yeah.
Okay? So just be aware that that is out there.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, I'm looking forward to the GFC that's coming after this.
Yeah. Cool. So for those of you who want to start into this new paradigm of awakening and start to release the distortion patterns that are keeping you bound in the old paradigm of awakening of I need to be saved, I'm broken, I need to be healed, then I strongly recommend that you listen to the group frequency calibration meditation associated with this episode. And if you know somebody who could really benefit from this video, please share it. We're about to start the group frequency calibration, or GFC, where we actually do the frequency work and where change is catalyzed. To get to the GFC, click on the square that'll appear to the right or the link in the description below. It's time to bring in a new experience, a new consciousness, and a new world. Let's rise together.